Hello and welcome back to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about the top four college football rankings, including Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, and Cincinnati, is our host, Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, man?
Hey, Jeremiah, we've made it. We finally did it. After all the great games played between a bunch of amazing colleges, bunch of amazing universities, these are the four best in college football: Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, and Cincinnati. Congratulations to all of those schools. Oh, man, I can't wait to talk more about how they got ranked and who they're going to be playing up next and seeing who's going to be moving on to that college football playoff. It's going to be great, man.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching at home, let us know, did your team make it into the top four? If they didn't, what happened? Why isn't Ohio State up in there? Tell us
Right.
exactly what you think in the comments. Should a Georgia have pulled it out? Should they still be number one? Does Alabama really deserve to even be in the top four? There's lots of debate to be had about these teams. One thing I can tell you is Cincinnati's done their job. So
Mhm.
if anybody deserves to be in there and fought for it, definitely Cincinnati. So we've got four amazing teams to talk about. And Mr. Logan Landers, tell us, between these four teams, how did they get here? What do we have to look forward to? And how do you think it's going to shake out?
Yeah, so let's start with the number one ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. Man, they beat Georgia. They beat the number one team ranked all season pretty much. They beat up on one of the best defenses in college football in a shocking victory, a large victory. And I mean, they won the SEC championship. So now all these teams, except for Cincinnati, has one loss on the season. So I wasn't expecting Alabama to jump to number one. I thought maybe Michigan was going to move up because Michigan was already ranked number two last week, and they did a good number on Iowa this past weekend. So I just assumed that Michigan, they didn't have that one loss earlier in the year to Michigan State. I thought they'd be number one, but I'm not complaining though. So Alabama number one, Michigan, like I said, they beat up on Iowa this past week. You knew they were already clinched to get in there. Georgia, the loss, but since they were undefeated the whole year, they had that one loss. You knew they were going to stay in the top four. You just didn't know if they would be three or four. They got in there at three. And then Cincinnati, man, they've done a great job. They haven't lost a game all season. So they did their work. They won the AAC championship. Desmond Ritter and company, I can't wait to see how they're going to do because, man, they were so close last year to getting in, let's not forget. And now they did the work. They were undefeated. They won their bowl game. They won their championship game. So there was no reason they shouldn't be in there. Now they're the first team throughout the college football playoffs, pretty much getting close to 10-year history. I think they've been around since 2014, if not mistaken, that non-Power 5 school is going to get in. So shout out to Cincinnati, the first of maybe many. You never know. So I'm happy for them. I'm happy that it got shook up a little bit because, like you mentioned, where's Ohio State? Where is Notre Dame? Just missed the cut. Ohio State got ranked sixth on the year, 10-2, got a really good season, and then Notre Dame 11-1, so really good season for them as well. They came in at fifth, so they looked really good, but just not enough to crack the top four. But like I said, congrats to all these teams. Once again, it's going to be some good matchups, man. So we have Alabama and Cincinnati going at it in the Cotton Bowl. It's going to be a great matchup in a little while. We got a little bit to go before these teams end up facing each other. But it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be the big brother versus the little brother, right? You got Alabama, who's been top dog for years now, and Cincinnati, who's trying to make a bold statement that they are here and they are not to be messed with. They got a good program. Obviously, they're undefeated. I know they haven't faced the talent equivalent to the Alabamas of the world in the SEC and the Big 12, Big 10s, all those. But they got something to prove, which is dangerous. So I know Coach Saban's not taking them lightly, and we'll see if Cincinnati can have the upset of the century in just a few weeks. And, of course, the other matchup, the Michigan Wolverines going up against the Georgia Bulldogs in the Orange Bowl. It's going to be a great matchup between college football's best defenses. These two teams are top-notch, high-quality defense. They're going to have a bunch of players from these schools drafted this upcoming year, next year, and it's going to be a defensive battle, I think. I can't wait to watch. That's the one I'm particularly looking forward to. And we'll see. Between these four, it's going to be a great college football playoff, I think. I think the committee got it right in terms of the 4 teams selected. I would have changed the seating a little bit personally, but I'm cool with all these teams getting in. And I think we're going to have 2 great matchups with the Cotton Bowl, with Alabama and Cincinnati, and the Orange Bowl with Michigan and Georgia. Man, I think these are going to be 2 great matchups. And, man, we'll see at the beginning of the year in 2022 which 2 teams are going to be duking it out, going for that college football championship, man. It's going to be a great like I said in the beginning, congratulations to all 4 teams. And I can't wait to get these games underway here in just a few weeks. It's going to be a great matchup for all 4 of these teams.
Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. And it is come down to that final time where every single move they make is going to matter. It's going to be the thing that decides whether or not they make it. College football playoffs are a relatively new thing. It's only been around for a few seasons and still something that I think we're all figuring out and just kind of understanding, where things have to go in your regular season so that you end up in these final positions. And, it becomes anybody's game when you have those factors down and you understand that during your season. So definitely all the people that are watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, let us know who is going to win it all. Right now, they've got Alabama number 1. I know that makes a lot of people crazy because this is a team that has been dominant for so many years, but has not been the most dominant team this season. So to see them being number 1 coming into the final part of the season, I'm sure makes a lot of people crazy. So guess what? If you want your team to make it to the end, to beat Alabama, to beat Georgia, to beat Michigan, to beat Cincinnati, and become the national champion, we got to play it right from here, friends. So let us know in the comments, what is the strategy? How does Cincinnati win it all? How does Michigan win it all? Of course, for Georgia and Alabama, the fundamentals are there. They need to keep playing the type of football they've played this entire season, and they will get there, one of those 2 teams. We're hoping over here that it's Georgia. So without further ado, thank you so much for listening to this. If you were watching us live, thank you so much. But if you're not listening to our podcast, it's time to jump in and listen to our podcast. Our podcast listeners are growing so fast. We have such a great time with all of our listeners over on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and anywhere that you listen to podcasts, because we want to bring you the most informative football show that exists. So jump in there, look up 100 yards of football. Look for our 50-yard line football right there, brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network, and keep on rocking out with us every single show. We'll be right back with another live episode.